Welcome everybody back to the PCN podcast. This is your host Cage alongside Cazbon
What up, what up?
and CJ.
Sup, fuckers?
Oh wow. This is episode 8 of the PCN podcast. And we'll just get into it right away, starting with Super League. So before we get into anything, I'll just recap our table real quick. We got Madrid still up top in first with 42 points, Celtic behind them with 37, Swansea in third with 35, Orlando in fourth with 35 as well. Man United in fifth with 33, Liverpool in sixth with 30, Portsmouth in seventh, Atlanta in eighth, Monaco in ninth, Milan in 10th, Marseille in 11th, Benfica in 12th, Wolves in 13th, Galaxy in 14th, Ajax in 15th, Leverkusen 16th, Lille 17th, and then we got our relegation 3 of NYC, Torino, and Leeds. So, first thing to bring up is a little Liverpool situation that kind of spilled out into the Discord. If not many people know, we saw Soccer FJ get booted out from Liverpool and then brought back in. I'm not too fine on the situation. Cazbon, if you know anything.
Um, all I know is, there was, I guess you could call a verbal altercation between FJ and a player. Um, I don't know how bad it escalated or how quickly. I do know at some point, either FJ made the decision to leave or he was told to leave. I don't know the specifics on that, but FJ is a hot commodity in this league, and he has had blow ups at different teams before. Um, he left Monaco uh, for me on his own without a blow up. He's not the type of player that's going to hang around and play with people that he doesn't get along with. So, but I do know that he was talking to a couple other teams and probably could have signed at a few other places. But one of those places was Milan, and unfortunately, you know, Jig's in a situation where um, he couldn't drop his strikers for whatever reason. Probably because one of them has a few friends and he would lose a couple players. I'm just guessing there. But so I think after that, and if you look at any of the top teams, their strikers are set, right? Um, so I think cooler heads prevailed, and he went back to where he was going, where he could very well win the Golden Boot. He fits their system. All those guys are good guys, and I think it's back to business as usual.
Yeah, I mean you could say that, but there always is now gonna it's gonna be a different atmosphere in that camp for sure. CJ, I mean if your top goal scorer leaves and comes back, do you think that'll screw up your team chemistry in any way moving forward?
I mean, people are gonna always wonder, like, what does he have an ulterior motive here, or is this just like, or was this just like a mistake that happened, and how are we gonna move on from this? Like, that's my mindset. Like, how do you move on from that? Like, it happened. All right, shit, move on. Simple.
Yeah, I mean that's your mindset. Some people, I mean I know for sure if it was me, I'd always be like, ugh, this is a little bit weird. I still think it was a weird decision. Just personally knowing FJ, I know he's a really cool guy and he's not he's not one to blow up for no reason. Something actually has to happen that's stupid for him to actually like become toxic like people say he is. Which, you know, obviously everyone can get toxic, but I just something must have happened for him to do that. He doesn't do that on his own. Regardless, in any case, he's arguably the best striker right now in the league. Uh, what Golden Boot, I think right now. So for Chronic to drop him, who's arguably he's been their best player, was a little bit of a shock. I guess one player's not worth majority of the team if the team didn't like him, but they did pick him back up, and yeah, like Caesar said, hopefully they can get back to business as usual. They are sitting, like I said, in sixth right now, so maybe they can just get back to their winning ways and just keep on succeeding. I do want to bring up what Kaz was talking about, and Milan. Milan is, I think they're under expectations right now. If I had to say, they're sitting in 10th. Um, do you think what are the key issues, Kaz? Like, do you think it's just the players there? Will they need to bring in more players? Chemistry? What about it?
Um, I mean, for those of you that don't know, I asked Jake to release me on Wednesday, and looking at the how young the team is, it's a completely new team, right? We did bring in some guys that are friends, but like if you look at it, Mob didn't play with Casper or Panther or Letta last season. So, they may have played late night league together and things like that. I think Panther was on Atlanta by himself. I think Casper actually was there. But I guess what the point is it's time to build chemistry. And, we played in a lot of BYOTs, and besides BYOTs and game days, that was the only days we were really playing. So I think, we're building chemistry. And one of the things that, you know, it kind of sucks, when Jig and I talked about the team in the beginning of the season, we were supposed to be building something, right? Any team that's going to be starting off together should never go into a season like this thinking we're going to win the title.
Yeah.
And the idea was to build chem, work on our system, bring in good players here and there. And I mean, if you look at Milan right now, they're 27 points, which is not like 3 points from sixth place. They're 8 points from Orlando Pirates. That's one game night, if it's a 3 game night. And unfortunately, there are some people there that I guess are looking for more than a building league. And like I said before, you've got groups of friends, and they start strong arming managers, and it sucks to see. I've had it happen to me before as a manager, and rather than uh, have a team that had drama the rest of the season, I just told Jig to go ahead and release me. Take one for the team and see how they can do. Unfortunately, it looks like the team performed the exact same when I wasn't there Wednesday, so maybe they identified the wrong weak point. I do know that Mob Loyalty has been complaining about not getting the ball enough, but he is third in the league with shots on goal. So I'm not sure where that comes from. But I could probably get into a lot more detail, but I don't want to, be toxic about it. But that's just the gist of it right there.
That's fair. I mean, a lot of the times when it comes to PCN, people see majority of the teams as like if you have friends, then you're gonna be set straight. And some teams are like that, but as we've seen with a lot of these top leagues, or top teams at least, a lot of them are not. Um, the only team I really see that's like a group of like just close buds playing is Swansea, but regardless, they're still a good batch of players.
Mm.
Not saying the guys, Mob's friends, I know some of them, Letta, Panther. Not saying like those guys are bad. I'm just saying a lot of the top teams are just a bunch of quality players playing. They don't really care about playing with friends or not. They care about getting the title.
Right.
So maybe bringing in friends and one guy causing a bad thing for the manager. Um, that's kind of a rough situation, and I do feel for Jig. But maybe he can get it to work. They can get their chem sorted. Because we're still at the midpoint of the season, pretty much, or we're approaching that at least. So they
Right.
still have time to turn it around.
And that's why I volunteered to leave. I figured not having the little animosity that was developing between myself and one of the players would just eat at the team's core, make people have to pick sides, this and that, and I'd rather Jig have a successful season than hold on to me for for the sake of being a friend.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully that works out for Jigga Milan. But like we said, they're still in 10th, but not that far off. Fourth, fifth, sixth. So things can still change for those positions within the next game days. One team that has been, past everyone's expectations is Atlanta. I can go into it before I do. CJ, I mean, what's been going on, man? Because a lot of people did not think Atlanta would be uh, a top and mid-table team, let alone near top six. So what's been going on?
So our greatest strength has been our defense, only conceding 13 goals this season. That's one of the reasons why we're actually winning games, and then it also helps now that our offense is actually doing something.
Yeah.
Like it was painful for me to watch as the defender when I'm constantly keeping teams to only 1 or 2 goals a game. When our offense only generates 1 to 2 shots a game, like it's really frustrating. But we brought in a couple guys to switch it up, mainly Fonz Wolf. We brought in USRY from, I think he was League One at the time, but he's been bouncing around kind of. And they've both been contributors really well. As another one is Arlandis, who's friends with Babs, and they've been very well helping link up the play with Neymar up top. And we've been on a roll as much as Madrid has in the last 10 games. We have the same form at the moment with 6-0-4.
Yeah, and that's a great achievement. Like I said, a lot of people didn't think Atlanta would do well this season. And people might think, like I was talking about with Milan, like we're only approaching midseason and all, but to still find form when they were, you guys were like not down bad, but you weren't having the greatest start this season, right?
Weren't great.
Yeah. So now you're starting to pick up form, and that's not easy to do, especially when you're literally approaching the middle of the season, which is normally where you tend to see people, where the table starts to formalize at least. You start to see the front runners, you start to see the relegation candidates, the mid-table teams. So for this team to start kind of breaking through and getting near this top 6, I mean, I think they could be a team to watch to definitely push into that top 6 to a Super Cup spot.
Let me interject
we can keep the momentum.
if I can here though.
Go
I'm
for
just
it.
gonna ask it because I've seen it asked many times. What is it about these accusations of parking the bus? Um, you guys have only given up 13 goals, which is great. Are you
We
guys
definitely don't park the bus.
okay?
So our I don't really want to expose our taxes, kind of, but our outside backs, our fullbacks, because we play a 4-2-3-1. Or actually, is it 4-2-3-1? Yeah, 4-2-3-1 now. Our fullbacks basically play really advanced. So most of the time, it's me and Taco back there when it comes to counters, and we have to be in the right position to stop things. And John has been able to get back and help. Lithium has been able to get back and help as well. It's just a good fluid system as a defense, and also we always have one deep lying center mid, so we can get the ball to them and they can play it up or play it outside, and we can move the ball effectively. So
Do you think
it's
you guys
not parking the
are
bus.
playing at your ceiling, or do you see an upside, developing?
Consistency is the main concern. Can we keep this attack going? Because early on in the season, it was non-existent, and now that we have a couple new players, we've been playing more and more. Like, can we keep our momentum going? I hope so. Do I see it? I don't know, because it all depends on the attack, because the defense has not been the issue.
All right, and you are a first season team, like I was just talking about with Milan. So
Yeah,
I think what John does well is he sets expectations. I know there's a lot of people that think John's a hothead or tells people what to do too much. I mean, I'm known for that as well. But
isn't that what you want from a manager?
that's what I would want.
I mean, yeah, if I fuck up, I want someone to tell me I fucked up and teach me how to do it better. That's
Some
the
people
whole
can't
reason
take
why
that
I
though.
play.
Some people are divas.
Yeah, some
and,
people are fucking soft. I don't get it.
You
Yeah.
try to help them out, they don't take it well. But when you have a team that understands, like, okay, I'll take what you're telling me, and I'm not gonna take it as an attack. I'll take it as constructive criticism. Those are the teams that tend to do well. I'll say, in our game days at Madrid, we'll have moments where someone will absolutely fumble the bag, and rather taking whatever someone else says or yells at you to heart, you just kind of move on with it. I think it's key to a lot of teams, and obviously, showing well with Atlanta, sitting in 8th. Hopefully, you guys can keep your form up, but we'll see as the games go. Another team that is just surprise expectations is Man U. I mean, I don't think anyone thought Man U would come near top 6 at any
I
point in this
did.
season. Okay, well maybe you, but majority of the league didn't think Man U would be where they're at. But they're sitting in 5th right now. In their last 6 games, they got 6 wins, and they currently have another one of the top goal scorers in the league, B God, with 20 and 14. Um, B God's had his criticism, obviously. Playing with him at Benfica, we had our little issues, but it was all banter in the end. I mean, he's what he is. He's a B god. If he gets in the box and you let him shoot, he'll score. It's pretty much it. He may not be the best hold-up player, dribbler, but he'll get you goals. And I think that's what Magic needed last season that he didn't have. I think he's always been able to formulate a team with good defense, just never the best offense. And I guess they're clicking now, um, finding their way in fifth. I mean, Kaz, you played against Man U with Milan when you were there. Do
Hmm.
you see a new rejuvenated Man U side from the last time we've seen them, or?
I wouldn't say that. Man U, Magic's always been able to put talent on a team, and he's always been able to put, whether no matter where they finish in the table, a team that was solid and competitive, and just maybe couldn't get over that hump to get some of the extra results. When we played them, they had the entire middle lockdown. Jig couldn't get free at all, so we were stuck playing on the wings a lot. And they have Caveman at middle CB, who hadn't been around the past couple seasons, and that I saw. And every time we tried to get into the middle, their CBs were there. What I was worried about, and commented on, but I'm glad I'm being proved wrong, was that it's kind of like the old school Man U from like 2 FIFAs ago. They brought a lot of the old guys back that had gone play in other leagues, and I always kind of make the comment, um, if a team doesn't succeed, why do you keep putting the same players back together?
Yeah.
And then I had to remind myself that Man U was a top team a couple of FIFAs ago, and then I think Bigard, despite the fact that he had issues with you, I think playing a season at Benfica helped him greatly because he was up there on the top goals last season as well. And
Oh yeah.
so I could tell you by playing with these guys in late night league, a lot of the toxicity has gone away. So maybe it's a combination of a little bit more FIFA experience, maybe maturing a little bit, but they're a solid team. I don't think they're gonna slow down anytime soon, at all. So I think they might surprise some people and sneak into the top four if some of these teams don't take care of business.
Yeah, I agree, and I definitely think Vigad had something to prove because at the last season of Benfica, I don't think he was really claimed as like their big guy, even though he was honestly one of the key components. Africa, him, and me were kind of like the guys, but I feel like I got all the credit for that Benfica team, um, which wasn't necessarily the case because those two obviously were big as well. And I think he had something to prove, and here he is now. A lot of people didn't think he had help, so they didn't think he'd succeed. But here he is, kind of balling out, scoring 20. So he's definitely going to be a threat for that Golden Boot this season, and he's definitely going to be a key component in Man U if they can keep pushing up the table. Um,
Well, let me
yeah.
say
So
this. Um, Outside of maybe Kessie and Evo, Kessie and Eriksson, those solid striker partnerships that we've been seeing from Orlando, Bigot and Magic have been a striker partnership for close to 3 years. And they both know what the other one's doing before they even know it, right? So when you have that kind of chem from a striker partnership, I mean, their give and goes are nasty. I always tell our defense, look, if he passes it, don't go for the ball. Take off with him. And they've got it down. And especially in this FIFA with the way the blocking and the defense is all, um, they've that kind of chemistry and the ability to move the ball back and forth between two guys is the best way to score. So, and it's showing.
and yeah, I mean it is. There's only 5 teams in Super League this season so far that have scored 30 plus goals, and they're one of them. It's Madrid, Swansea, Orlando, Liverpool, and Man U. And a lot of people wouldn't, think that they'd be a top scoring team, but here they are, kind of proving everyone wrong. Um, like we said, definitely a team that could sneak into the top three. Even, they could potentially contend for a top two spot. I mean, they're only 4 points off second place. So, and 9 points off first. So, like, they're still super close. One game they can change that, and they could shoot up to first.
Hmm.
So, they're definitely going to be a team to watch out for to see if they shoot up or not. It's not going to be a big surprise if they do, considering their last form. Speaking of form, a team that hasn't had the best form, we did mention them previously, is Benfica. They're sitting in 12th. Um, you know, in CJ, what do you think's wrong with Benfica? Do you think it's the players Chuck brought in that just don't mix well? Is it, you know, toxicity? Like, what do you think the issue is?
He got rid of his best players mainly, like the players that have been mainstays in that team for seasons upon seasons, and he's trying to recoup. It's a rebuilding year. I don't think anything's wrong with them necessarily. I think they're kind of where a lot of people expected them to be at the moment, excluding myself. I expected them to be higher up, but I didn't know what to expect from this team, and I guess right now they don't know what to expect from themselves, and it's just the rebuild is upon us, and Chuck has to get his shit in order.
Let me ask this. I'm gonna ask you, Cage. I'm gonna flip it around. I'm gonna be the host. Because you came from there last season. Let me preface with this. I like Chuck. He's a very responsible manager. He always gets his stats in on time. He plays the transfer market in a sense like we wanted it to be played. But do you think, one, did he let those players go? You naming one of them, and BGod, or did they leave on their own? And also, do you think the fact that people are quote unquote being held hostage, even though they signed the contract, is that starting to catch up with his team?
So, one, me and B God chose to leave. I think B God and Chuck might have had a fallout. That's why B God kind of didn't want to go back. Um, and I left just because I was there for 3 seasons already, and I just wanted a new challenge. I don't think the hostage thing, I always played a part of it too. I think everyone, made jokes like, "Oh, you're being held hostage, Benfica, you want to leave, etc., etc." And there were moments when like I was in like my second season in, and I'd asked Chuck to leave, and um, he told me no. But it was understandable now looking back at it, because literally we're in mid-season and we weren't even doing bad. When I first went there in season 14, it was like this. They were in 10th when I came. Yeah, when I came to that team, I was loaned out and it came back at mid-season. We were in 10th, and then they shot back up to, 8th or 7th back up. Like, that was a rebuild year. Next season comes, we kind of get our pieces together. I think that's when Stone was there with Eric. Classy was playing. It was a pretty solid team. We finished third, if I'm not mistaken. We finished in the top six for sure. Then the next season, we finished third as well. But then after that, the players left, and now they're, like CJ said, in their rebuild year. Um, as for the hostage thing, I don't think it's gonna really catch up to him. He's not really holding anyone hostage. Like everyone literally says, read the contract and you'll be fine. He's not a real douche. If you want to play for a season, he will put the contract as a season. But as a smart manager would, he just sets a 3 season because he's trying to build something, as he did. When I came in, it was a 10th place team. 2 seasons later, they were a top three team. He built something. Um, if it's a matter of people wanting to leave and all, uh, at that point, it sucks to suck. You signed the contract, you got to play it out, and that's what a lot of us did. And I grew to love Benfica. I got to be honest, it wasn't a horrible stay. I mean, we won 2 trophies. Granted, one of them was a default, but we were pretty successful there. And it wasn't a bad time by any means. Chuck was a great manager, and I'm sure they're gonna turn it around. It's just gonna take some time for them to gel, which is always like the key issue, because he brought in 2 new strikers who haven't played with each other, 2 new outside mids who are still new to the positions. So it's just a matter of time. But I think Benfica will be fine. I don't think there's too much to worry about for them.
Yeah. And if you got players that are willing to do it, unlike on Milan, um, it can pay off in the future.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will. Like those guys, I'm telling you right now, this team in 2 or 3 seasons, once they get their shit together, they're gonna be another top three team for sure. Because the guys on that team aren't bad. They just need a gel. And I think Chuck understands that it's fine to be a 12th, 10th, ninth place team for a season if it means the next season you'll shoot up and contend for silverware and other cups, or contend for the title. Um, which I think is super smart by him.
He's just got to make sure he can avoid the drop.
Yeah, and I think he will. He's not one to pick up guys who will let that happen.
Granted, what's happening in the Super League with all the teams folding, he probably will.
What, you think Chuck would fold?
No, I'm not saying him. I'm saying other teams, like the ones that have already and probably will in the future, because of how difficult it is to actually keep a winning Super League team.
there are no teams in Super League right now that are gonna fold anymore. The ones that
Well,
were.
you know what I mean.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, and especially with the new guys picking up team. I mean, like, yeah, Kez is right. I don't see any team folding at any time soon.
NYCFC, look, they're building. I've talked
They're
to
not
both
going to. They're
managers.
not going to fold.
Nope. I've talked to Dirty Bird and Ace Man, and they're actually having a good time over there. So
If they would have fold, they would have done it by now. Okay, so these guys are clearly understanding where they're at right now. Dude, they're not like, yes, they've lost a bunch of games, but they're only like 3 points off 16th. So like, they're if they start winning games, they can get out of relegation.
They've
Like,
lost
it's still,
every game but one draw and a home walkover.
listen, guy, be optimistic. It could happen.
That's
Listen,
not
I have
my
faith in them,
job.
man.
My
They
job's
have
to
to
be the one to shit on everyone.
Yeah,
okay.
fair. But I still think that they have a chance. Same with Torino as well, and Leeds. Those new guys, like, they're still not out of it completely. If other teams are taking advantage of their points, sure, but you never know when a team clicks. Maybe they needed 16 games, 14 losses to be like, okay, guys, we solved it. It's not common for teams,
Maybe
and
they
it
pick
would be
up
up here.
that player they need in the transfer window.
Exactly, like you guys did it. One guy turned your season, or a couple guys turned your season around from like you guys were sitting in like 10th, 12th, or 13th, and now you're sitting in 8th, almost
Yeah.
on your way to top 6. So it could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if, they shot up to like 16th. Like it could happen very well. It's just a matter of if they can, like we said, pick up guys for their team, and if they can just look it, which it's very well as possible. But that was Super League, for that matter. Let's move on to League One, and I'm only gonna braze over these teams. I don't want to go on the whole table, but obviously we still have Sporting and Bayern at the top two. Our four teams to follow are Sevilla, Valencia, Spurs, and Chelsea. And then we have Atletico in seventh, Man City behind them, Dortmund ninth, LAFC 10th, Atalanta 11th, Arsenal, who's back out of relegation and in 12th now, um, Everton in 13th, Sociedad in 14th, Inter 15th, Newcastle 16th. Then Inter Miami, Barcelona, Lazio, and Aston Villa in the relegation zone. Um, Before I go on to what I even wanted to talk about before, this Everton thing obviously is something we have to talk about. I'm just gonna ask you, Kaz, right away because you're a manager. I just want you to pretend this hasn't happened yet. If you are a manager in his shoes, right, and I know you're a season's manager, whatever. If that happens to you this early on in the season, would you fold your team?
Hell no.
Yes, that's what I wanted to hear. Um,
You know
Can I
how
say
they
I
say
just
one word?
I'm a
One word.
do an old school quote. My mama didn't raise no quitter. You
yeah.
know.
Uh,
Um,
that.
I'm not calling him a quitter, but
Mhm.
if I did that, I would consider myself a quitter.
Yeah, for sure. I
Especially
don't
with as
see
good as his team's been.
he built a good team too. Like this his I don't yeah, they're sitting in 13th, but the team he had was performing. Like they were close and the last time we recorded this thing, they were literally in the top 6.
Well, look at their
Um
form, right? The latest form: draw, 4 wins and a loss, and that
it
loss
wasn't even bad.
was after folding.
I don't see the logic. I like Jason as a guy. He's been one of those cool guys in the Discord who's been popping in and out, showing highlights for leagues and stuff. Um, I really think it was a overreaction. Whether it was a default or not, some people can bitch about it, but rules are rules. Admins are there to enforce the rules. The admins don't pick and choose what rules to enforce. Um, they bring it up, they enforce it. That's that.
Let me
Do you
say it
fold
like
it
this.
for something like that? No, like I don't. That
I'll
doesn't make
be
sense
an
to me.
admin for a second, instead of podcasts because I said it today, and I just want to make sure any manager that's listening or any player really thinks about it like this: is a default for one play in the game harsh? Yes, but if they had scored off of that play, everybody on the other team would have been screaming for default anyway, and vice versa. But with the application of rules in PCN, as we have learned the hard way over time, it's got to be objective. Because if we say, well, only if there's a goal off of it, then it becomes, well, how long before the goal? or was it really because of the interference? You see what I'm saying? It starts becoming opinions from the admins when now they have a black and white rule and it's a yes or no question. It's not a matter of, well, how do you think and this and that. It's not like the handball rule in the Premier League. It's, look, did he interfere? Yes. Can we possibly look at changing punishments in the future? Yes, but we can't do that mid-season.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, if he does interfere and they score, it should be a default in my opinion. So it's just kind of one of those things, like, where do you go? And every single manager, when they filled out the manager app, said that they agreed to read the rules. So, um, that's the best I can say for it, guys. And it's only one game,
Yeah.
like, you're in the middle table of League One. You're still building your team. So,
You're not doing bad by any
right.
means.
I'm, so you're not just throwing away one game or one season. You're throwing away like your future of managing. So I'm guessing it just wasn't that important.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you do something like that, the chances of you coming back and asking for a team ever, whether it's another PCN team, World Cup team, it's probably not gonna happen. Um, I mean, CJ, I'm just gonna ask you. Me personally, as a player, I don't fuck with anything like that. I don't tackle on set pieces. I don't go next to goalies because like I know the rules and I just don't want to risk anything. I don't know if you saw the clip, but the guy
I
literally
did.
just okay. So you saw him just walk up and was just filling with the goalie. Like, would you do that as a player, knowing the rules? Like,
Fuck
and then
no.
complain about yeah, and then I just don't understand how he can complain about it after. Like, you literally saw your guy, even if they don't score, just don't do it. Like, there's
I'm
literally
being
no
a
need to
fucking
do it.
idiot.
Yeah, like if obviously you're trying to get an advantage by getting in front of the goalie so your guy can get an animation and the goalie doesn't. That's obvious. Why do it if you know it's against the rules? I still am shocked by it, and it sucks that he defaulted the team because of it. But whoever did that, I mean, that's on them, man. Just read the rules and don't be dumb. It's really that simple. A team I want to get on to is Barca. Makino had a playoff team, a League One playoff team last season, and I don't know how many they lost. I know they lost Sucks, who was their main cam, um, but I don't know. This it's kind of like the opposite with Atletico. Atletico was at relegation at one point in last season. Oswald makes some pickups, and now they're sitting in seventh, right outside top six. Makino loses a few players, and they went from playoff contention to relegation in League One. Um, you know, they have 27 goals against, which I guess, it's not their defense, it's their offense. Kaz, you've been managing for a while. Do you relatively know what happens in these stages when you go from a top team in a league to relegation at some point? Like, is it anything to do with like the players or just other teams getting better?
Um, this is a tough one. I can tell you that, in my experience, I went from a very good League One team with Monaco to like a top of the bottom table. And I also had a huge turnover. This, on the other hand, he's got most of his team from last season. He picked up Walkadoff, who is a great player as well. He picked up Rico, great player as well. Um, I don't have their stats up in front of me, so I can't tell you who's actually playing. Maybe Rico's missing some games. I don't really think that all these teams got so much better that these guys can't just win games. Um, I just don't see it with this squad. I could be wrong. Um, or maybe these teams really did get that good. This is a tough one. I think that this shows Makino's management skills to keep this team together, that or the loyalty from these players, because I don't see very many teams surviving. They still have Makino and Dracula Beast. They're the two 30-goal scorers from last season, if I remember correctly. Um, losing a really good cam, in my opinion, from my management, is the worst thing that can happen to a team, and it can make a huge difference between scoring goals and not scoring goals.
So
So
do you think it's like big enough to bring a team from playoff contention or top tier to like relegation? Like, do you think it's that huge of a loss?
to it can drop your goal scoring immensely. It could also drop your ball retention. So if you've got a cam that can't hold onto the ball, or check, your DMs are going to stop having outlets. Your DMs will start turning the ball over. When your DMs start turning the ball over, your back line gets beat. So it could be a huge chain reaction on the defensive side. But then, you got your offensive side too that isn't getting the service that they're used to getting. I mean, look at the top teams in Super League. All of them have great cams. There's no exceptions. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like we were saying, it is only we do start to see teams peak out mid-season and after. So maybe they can start peaking out mid-season and after. I hope so because, Barca is a team that I like. I like a lot of those guys on that team and to see them this low, I don't think it's doing them justice. It could be doing League One justice as a whole and just to show how good this league is now. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with
well,
them, but
one thing to think about too is it is summertime. Uh, the world is opening back up, so to speak. Barcelona does have a lot of older guys, like not in high school and college,
yeah.
and it's likely they may not be practicing a whole lot because these guys are just trying to live their life. None of the guys I know take this so seriously that this is the end of the world for them. They just enjoy playing FIFA. So that might have something to do with it as well.
Could be the case, and if that is the case, then I guess you can't really take anything away from them. People are forcing FIFA over their real life, then I'd feel like that'd be an issue, and they might have to get some things fixed. But like I said, I'm sure that they'll figure out what their issue is, and they could pull their own weight. Um, Two teams I want to talk about real quick though. First, your Spurs team. I mean, you went there. I don't know if you played in the last three games or not. It's a team only 2 points off third place, 4 points off second place. I mean, do you think with all the other teams in League One, I don't know if you've played against them all, but I'm sure you've seen how they've been playing. Do you think this is a team that can contend for that second place spot?
Absolutely. Um, one of the reasons I DM'd Peru and said, "Hey man, you mind if I come play for you?" is one because I know Merv really well, and him and I have always played DM well next to each other, and we played them in the Royal Cup with Milan, and we beat them, but I just saw their play style, and their play style fits the play style I want to play.
Yeah.
Um, is it perfect? Is it on the level that people will say in Super League? Absolutely not. But you know, um, I wasn't gonna find a DM spot in Super League, likely. And also I just kind of thought about it. If I want to work on getting better at DM, League One's the place to go. And I also got to go with people I know. I can tell you that uh, we may be picking up some players in crucial spots. And like we just talked about, one or two players in crucial spots can make a huge difference. So we played Valencia the other night, and I don't remember if we lost or tied to them, but we went 1-1-1 that night and played well all three games. So, one thing I did like about this is when we got scored on, people didn't get down. They're
Yeah.
not so super serious about this that the second we got scored on, people started pointing fingers. And that's what you see in a lot of Super League teams. So we just kept playing, man. How do y'all say? And we move.
Yeah.
We move.
Literally. That's the phrase of the season for everyone pretty much. You get a loss, a goal conceded, whatever, let it happen, and you move. Yeah, Spurs will be definitely a team to look out for. I mean, that League One table is just also close. Another team that's been balling out, CJ, wanted to ask you about. I don't know if you know too much about them, but Chelsea, um, they were sitting in like 10th or 11th, whatever, the last time we recorded, and now they shot up to sixth, a part of this super close pack race. The last 8 games, they have 5 wins and 3 draws. Uh, does it just show how close League One is? I mean, like you look at this table, you look at second all the way to eighth, we'll just say, and there's 8 points in that gap. You played in League One season prior. I mean, do you think the league has gotten just better overall?
I have not played. I haven't played in League One for 3 seasons now. But
Oh, oof.
normally, that's what happens when the competition gets spread out. Like good players are going to different teams across the league, and like honestly, like looking at the teams and stuff like that, there's some good players on Sociedad, Arsenal, Atalanta. Those are teams that are in 10th, 11th, 12th, and they're separated from 6th by 6 points.
Yeah.
There's not that big of a gap at all, and anyone can still get in the playoff race. However, the title race is two frontrunners, maybe third can sneak in, maybe four, but Sporting is running away with it early.
Yeah, I think at this point Sporting's gonna take it. It's just that second place spot is just what's gonna be super tight. If Bayern can hold their own and stay consistent with it, that's gonna be probably the deciding factor on what happens with them. Because I think if that team doesn't get promoted, I don't know what Kai will do afterwards. Because that's a team that should get promoted, in my opinion.
Well, if you look at Chelsea, and you're kind of wondering what they're doing well, I would have to point to the defense. Just looking at the names on the roster, they've got Varane, a young billionaire who's an up and comer, and Mo is the beast. I'm not sure how much he's playing. You've got somewhere cooling. These are all, I quote unquote, Super League quality defenders. Quino's on this team. If he's playing goalkeeper, then phenomenal goalkeeper. If he's playing CB, he's a great CB. So, they definitely got the pieces. And then you got Everest sneaking in up there at striker, who, we all know what he can do as well. So,
I think the main thing I like about League One is, like you read out rosters of each team and you start to realize how good each team is. Like I think the only team where like you see players and you're like, oh my god, these guys are just too good for the league could be Sporting and Bayern as well. I mean, but you look at Sevilla and their roster, Valencia and their roster, Spurs, Chelsea, Atletico, Dortmund, City, like a lot of these guys are just it's a very well-rounded team that I don't think we've seen in League One for a while. A lot of the time now, at least prior in leagues for however long I've been here, um, you'd have like maybe 3 or 4 teams of names that or like people are just like, oh yeah, this is one of the good players, and that's it. But I think almost all these teams, maybe 3 or 4 teams in League One, there might be players that people don't know. But regardless, other than that, the full roster, people just understand like there are good players on this team, and I think that's what makes League One so good now. At least, I mean, it's still super close, and I think that's just the best part of it, and it shows how much this league has grown. It's gonna be exciting to see who ends up where, because I can't even make predictions at this point.
I mean, one thing might be about it too is in League One, you don't necessarily, I'm not going to say that people don't have names, but it's not players that are labeled in our community as elite or top. Rarely. And, so what happens is it's way more difficult to stack a team. In Super League, the top 3 or 4 teams, they know who the best players are in Super League and they stack them. For better or for worse, I'm not saying it's unfair or anything, but you kind of know who to get if you want to get the best out of the best players. And in League One, there's a little bit more of it's not as exact, and that leads to competition like this because the good players do get spread out.
And I think that's just what makes it so much better. Obviously, Super League, you don't. That's what we plan to have, and there are a lot of good players in Super League, obviously, but a lot of the best players are kind of centered around those top 3 teams. And in League One, there's just an abundance of players that are just split up, like you said, so it makes for good competition. Before we do move on to League Two, I do have to point out As good as Sporting have been, they're losing arguably one of the key pieces of the team in Kahn. Um, I have no clue what happened or why he'd leave. Maybe the toxicity was too much for him because I know Kahn is a guy and he does not fuck with uh the toxic nature. CJ, do you know anything about that incident as to why Kahn would be leaving? A
No,
team that's already in first?
I have no idea about why Kahn would want to leave that team. But looking at the table, I made a severe misunderstanding about Valencia. Clearly, in
Yeah,
my predictions, I had them like mid-table bottom. No, they're fourth right now, duking it out with the top guys. So fair play to them.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, all these teams have players that are good, so like it's not surprising to see any of them where they're at. Like maybe if I saw LAFC sitting in a place where Spurs or Valencia are, I'd be super shocked because that's a group of first comers to 11s playing. Um,
They
but
started
no,
well
a lot
too.
of these guys, they're out there to show themselves in this league, and a couple guys still have games in hand. So this table could still look way different. Atletico has 2 games in hand. Chelsea has a game in hand. But Sevilla has 2. But people could be shifting in and out. Um, so it's going to be a good thing to see. And it's also going to be added to see what happens with Sporting if they can find a good enough goalie or not. Because keeper is a big position in this league.
I wonder if
Because
Messi might gets thrown there.
that would not be ideal, I'd assume.
I
Because their defense is super good, but you still have to have a good goalie, especially in League One, because it could very much so happen to where bundle goal comes in, your keeper sucks, and boom, you're down 1-0 and you're chasing the game, and it's
Mhm.
super hard to come back. So
But I mean,
maybe look at this.
also, you got a team like Sporting, and you know they're gonna approach top keepers and say, "Hey, you want a title?" And we all know how that goes in this league sometimes. And
Yeah,
also,
so
Messi's not an idiot. I don't think he would let somebody like Kahn get away if he didn't have something up his sleeve. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I still don't get why he'd go though. Like Khan's been chasing a title of some sort for a while now. Like he's not a bad goalie by any means. He's one of the best that I've played with.
maybe he
So
didn't
for
have a
him to
choice.
leave, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't think he'd want to leave. I feel like he must have been forced out. But I don't know too much, so I don't want to assume too much. But that's gonna be something that's gonna be keeping my side eye at least to
Zero
see what happens.
insider information here, guys. We are all
Yeah.
stumped.
So please, someone tell me because I want to know. um, but we will move on to League Two now. Um, we'll go over the table real quick. Obviously, um, oh, I forgot to mention 3 teams unbeaten across all 3 leagues, and it just so happens to be the first place Super League team in Madrid, first place League One team in Sporting, and now first place team in Watford. We got Toronto in second, behind them, and Napoli in third. PSG, Lyon, Leipzig, and Leicester from 4 to 7, and then we got our other guys behind them. No disrespect to you
Let
guys,
me
but
toot my
as
horn real quick. I called Toronto in my prediction, so y'all can suck
you
on it.
did fair to them. Yeah, yeah. Didi Soul has managed to just find rhythm, I guess. I don't know what's happened. I mean, I'm more shocked at Napoli being up there than anything. You know, I like when we played against them.
You're shocked. I still barely know who's the owner.
It's that's FIFA Addict HD now. Um, I hated playing against them. We played them in a couple of BRTs, and I just got super flustered, because they were parking the bus from what I thought. Obviously, I'm mistaken because they're not now. They're sitting in third. I think they shot up out of nowhere too. Because last time I checked this table, they might have been in like seventh or eighth, and now they're up there in third. So obviously they're doing something right, and they're keeping this interesting. At this point, I think Watford ran away with it. I mean, at the form they're in with the players they have to choke a 10-point lead, it's possible. I don't see it happening though. Um, as for second to seventh, that's a 6-point gap. That's 2 games. Um,
And eighth.
which yeah. Oh, I didn't even look at that. And eighth, yeah. So, I think League Two and League One, both of these, is just going to be interesting to see who gets those promotion spots, who gets the playoff spots. Obviously, I'm still a fan for PSG. I hope they can get through. Come on, stay high. We're rooting for you.
Well, I
But a
mean,
team
even
that,
even Stay High is 3 points from second. So
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I hope they can find consistency and just keep winning. while other teams drop in and out. Um, a team that I want to talk about is Leipzig. I mean, you know, what is going on with them? That is not a team anyone expected to be in the six. This is a team I expected to be second over Toronto. Um, CJ, do you got any insight on like what's going on with that?
I mean, they're scoring, and it's just unfortunate that they're the second most the second highest scoring team in League Two, but they've still conceded 13 goals, and they're sixth and least amount there. And to be a top team in a league like this, you have to be able to keep the ball out of the net, and that's unfortunately not happening for them right now. Is they have in their last 10 games, they have only 2 losses and 1 draw, which is good, but not great. Like, if you look at the team right above them, Lyon has won 10 games straight.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, I didn't even notice that. Like, that's crazy.
Fucking hello, what?
Leipzig did beat Toronto. They did beat Toronto, so.
Well, and that was Toronto's second loss. I mean, yeah, but we always said offense would be a big thing in League Two because we thought teams parked the bus, but I guess it's starting to prove defense now is super important because teams can score.
Lyon still has 3 games in hand too.
Let's just think about that for a second. I know we're talking about Leipzig, but I just want to.
What the fuck?
Take those 10 wins away, they're 0-2-1, right?
Yeah.
So you can't say they've been playing bot teams because they've played half the league and beat them. So I don't know what Milks did or told his team after those 3 games. I mean, that's still crazy though. To go, obviously, Watford is undefeated as well, but they just won 10 in a row, no draws, no nothing. So I mean, that's crazy to me. Like, god damn, that's fuck. Props to them for finding a way to for doing that.
They got Champagne in there, and he is not a pushover. He has a ton of PCN experience. I've been hearing the name Concrete a lot as well. I'm not sure much about him. So I mean,
no, he's a stall player. I played with him before. He's one of the no-namers that's coming up as well. But I think I can definitely see him being a key to their success.
That's awesome because I look at the Napoli roster, I look at the Lyon roster, and I'm not knocking anybody, but I don't recognize most of the names.
Yeah, you're not
so that
familiar
tells
with the
me
guy.
We've got really good players coming in and coming up. So it's good to see.
Yeah, it's nice. A team that is also climbing is Porto, which was the season prior's Burnley. I've always been a favorite of these guys. I've had my little bants and arguments with them and their teammates before, but Bucci and his team, they've it's kind of like the Didi Soul thing. They've been in League Two for 2 or 3 seasons at this point, I believe. So I think he's starting to build something, and they've been getting their points and they've been coming up. They're sitting in 9th right now. Like I said, they're close to that 4th through 7th range to get to playoffs. So I think they'll be a little team to watch to see if they can shoot up there. Another team is DC United. These guys were again at the bottom starting before we recorded this, before the last episode, and now they're sitting in 11th. I don't know what happened, because last season these guys were in like dead last, if I'm not mistaken. Like
no, they were 18th or 19th.
Yeah, which is still pretty trash.
They're still down there.
Yeah, but 11th. I mean, they're starting to rise up the pack too. That's not bad at all. So props to them. Like, it's super hard for teams to like find comebacks and like fight back. So that's what we're seeing with a couple of these teams coming back and finding ways to win.
If you look at sorry to jump in.
No, you're
good.
But
DC United actually just beat Brighton 6-0. So
that's that's something you don't expect, because like this was a team again that literally struggled to score goals last season. So I'm pretty sure their manager, his former gamer tag was Red You're Dead. People see him as boring now. He obviously made the right calls and bringing in good players, and it's working out for him. So kudos to him. I really wanted to see him succeed, and it's nice to see him back up in 11th place with DC, hopefully to bring him up for a playoff spot.
Lots of Bayou guys in there. So
something I wanted to ask CJ about is Rangers. they have a particular player on their team which is known for relegating teams in Harry Pickle. Um, do you think? Just tell me about that situation, CJ. What do you think about it?
So they're actually the last team in League Two to get a win. So congrats to them. Yeah, it's just funny to see how I don't know how this always happens with Harry Pickle. He always manages to just tank teams. It doesn't make any sense because he's not that awful of a player. Yes, he's had some very unfortunate events, which are awesome in the Discord, and like I don't understand. I mean, I just don't get it. Like every time he's on a team, it just seems to be. It's just a curse at this point.
I
Like
feel bad for him. Like I agree. Like he's not, he's lit. People think he's like below average garbage, like no
Exiles
fubs
should
type
sign
player.
him just so he can end the curse.
Oh no, well I wouldn't go that far, but I do feel bad for the guy. I don't think like I really you're right. I don't know what's the issue with that. Every team he manages to find himself on just fumbles the bag. Um,
I mean,
yeah,
they have some former guys who have played in Super League before, but not on great teams. Like this guy Glory Hole Austin, he constantly talks shit to me in another league, so had to throw his name in there. And I love the fact that he's on Rangers and he's struggling, which is awesome to see.
he's not a bad player either. He was one of Leo's best player when he was in Super League.
Yeah, but what happened to that team?
Well, they fumbled it.
Point made.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's his fault. I mean, they just as a team kind of let go. But he's not a bad player.
Well, look, I can tell you that this team Rangers. I talk to Priceless Jam quite often. There have been some issues with availability from himself and a lot of and other people, real life getting in the way. So I wouldn't ride him too hard. I mean,
Yeah,
they also just came off a 5-0 win as well. So they definitely they could be much better. And maybe it's just one of those things like with Barcelona. It's just one of those seasons where they can't be fully committed.
yeah, and if that's the case, then apologies to Priceless Jam. We don't want to ride you. We just find it very funny how coincidental it is that every team Harry Pickle finds himself on just
Although I
it's just
believe that
near
is the
relegation.
first team Harry Pickle has ever been on that won a 5-0 game.
Really? All right, then maybe it's a
In all of
turn
his
of events.
seasons, really?
I have no idea.
That
Oh,
would be
you're just
that would
bullshitting. Got it.
that would be quite sad if that was like his first big deficit win. But
Now I'm
listen, man.
curious.
Yeah, I know. I want to know if that's no. There's no way because when his Roma team won that League Two title, there's no way they never won any game by a big margin.
Like 5?
Yeah, they. I mean, who did they had? Striko's Goblin at the time, and he was like one of the most informed League Two strikers there was then. So I wouldn't doubt that he banged in a bunch of goals along with the guys they had there. They had good players on that team, so I wouldn't doubt that they didn't beat someone 5-0. I guess it just must have been a long time for Harry Pickle. I'd assume so. Oh. Anyway, I think that's all we have. I mean, the only really thing I want to talk about is just PSG. They're a normal talking point, but I mean, I don't know what Stay High did this time. Maybe it's because he pulled himself out of the offense and pulled himself to left back and let his strikers do their thing. That it's been working out. I mean, they got 33 goals. They're the second most in League One. If I no third most, my bad. Leipzig is up there. But I mean, I think that was a great call by him, letting his team do their thing. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see them hopefully get out of League Two and bring that club out.
I have
Um,
played against them a couple times in BYOT, and
So,
they have a
going back on the
system.
Harry Pickle thing,
Okay.
he actually didn't play in the 5-0 win.
Man, so
He's still
Simeone
losing.
feels bad. Yeah, seriously, feels bad, man. Jeez, poor Harry Pickle. Maybe his
Hey,
luck will turn
you gotta
around.
admire his commitment to this, though. He
Oh,
keeps
Listen,
coming
100%.
back. He's always helping the teams out. So a lot of
respect to
guys would
him.
have just quit after getting a default.
Fuck you, Jason.
Oh, you're toxic. What were you saying, Kaz, about PSG?
I noticed from playing them, they had a system that was very consistent. So,
Mm-hmm.
you see a lot of teams and they just kind of play.
Mm-hmm.
Stay High is experienced, so maybe they're just really organized this season, and this is the first time. This is probably the first time since Footy and Matty Dot and Exile left that he probably had a core of experienced players. To be
Yeah.
honest,
I mean, it's working out for him. Obviously, I think even if it's League Two and it's like the BS League or whatever, it's still
He's
hard
tired of
to
losing.
find form. Yeah, and I think it's showing now. I think this is his breakout season. They're gonna get out of League Two. As for a League One push to Super League, I can't say that much because League One is still a really good league. But I definitely think this is his season to get out of League Two, for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean that's all we have for about all these three leagues. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or
uh,
anything that's been on your mind
on my mind.
regarding the league at least? For sure, I'm
No,
still
not
stuck on the
really.
default thing.
I'm
That's just my
uh,
thing though.
I'm really happy with everything right now. If I obviously I would like, and this is not picking on anybody. We have had a lot of managers drop this season, which has been stressful. But again, like it's summertime, priorities start changing, so I'll probably write it off to that. Um, but overall, it seems like even though there's a lot of back and forth in Discord, and you could call it toxic, you can call it whatever you want, but most of it's guys joking with each other nowadays. So it's the same group of guys are showing up to BYOTs and drafts, and it's just really good to see that there's almost like a a large group of PCN community members that hang out together on a regular basis, even with other games. So I've been really impressed to see that.
CJ?
I mean, besides the fact that Everton folded, and I absolutely love it.
Mm.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens in the league, in the cups as well. I'm sure Royal Cup that last couple of those games are going to be closed Sunday if I'm not mistaken, the last group stage games.
Yep,
Then we can get on to the knockouts. As for PCN Cup, Kaz, do you have any idea on what's going on with that?
I would have to pull up the schedule. Give me 1 second.
All good.
Boom, boom, boom.
Um, but yeah, we have the PCN Cup that I'm assuming will be coming soon. More trophyware for people to win. Uh, but yeah, I mean, leagues are all super competitive, so it's nice to see how good PCNs come. It's gonna be interesting to see how the league goes on after this, though, for sure.
Okay, master schedule's coming up.
Yeah, what do you even have? No, don't we normally have cup games by now?
I think they're actually about to start. Let's see. PCN Cup round of 32 starts on July 7th.
July 7th? Oh, okay, so that's in a couple weeks. All right, well that's not even that bad at all.
Well, round
Um,
one actually is June 30th.
okay, well that makes more sense. So
Yeah,
Wednesday. All right.
it's
Well,
pretty cool. It's starting right after group stage is in. So
yeah, that's perfect. All right, so we have the PCN Cup to look forward to. Um, but yeah, that was episode 8 of the PCN podcast. Obviously, if you guys have any comments or concerns, things to make it better or worse, uh, feel free to DM any of us, and we will make it our goal to make it better. Obviously, we've been following a form of having a different topic and then having a league-based podcast. I think that's the format we plan to follow. Our next podcast is planned to be a top 3 player per position over the last 3 seasons. So obviously, if you guys are interested in that, stay tuned and we'll get it out as soon as possible. But this has been Cage with Kaz and CJ, and we're going to be signing off, guys. Take care.